Look, Dan, my view on this is really quite simple. Whenever Westminster's commentariat are completely up in arms, whenever they're spitting feathers, I think the government must be doing something spot on.
I'm so with you there. But Darren, just to make you a little bit more angry on this, because I guess she is part of it to an extent, your old foe when it came to Brexit, Theresa May, had this to say in the House of Commons today, and she is furious about it, Darren.
I served on the National Security Council for 9 years, 6 years as Home Secretary and 3 as Prime Minister. During that time, I listened to the expert, independent advice from national security advisers. On Saturday, my right honourable friend said, we must be able to promote those with proven expertise. Why then is the new National Security Advisor a political appointee with no proven expertise in national security?
Darren, your response to Theresa May.
Theresa May would do well to remember that she herself was widely criticised for putting a long-term ally into the role, both the role of Cabinet Secretary and National Security Advisor, as well as the head of the Home Civil Service. I think it's a real shame that Theresa May has gone for the embarrassing route of John Major's time after he left office, which is to criticise the next government as much as he did over Brexit. Look, I think Theresa May has a track record that is absolutely abysmal. You know, she's the one that's got us into bed with the Chinese on so many fronts. Where was the national security advice then? I just think Theresa May, a period of silence would be nice from her, to be honest with you, given the amount of misery that she put this country through.
Dawn Foster, is it not important to hear from a former Prime Minister?
I think it is, and I think that even though a lot of Conservatives are very, very different to me politically, quite often I find that older Conservatives who've been around the block for a lot often come out with things that are at odds with the party, often at odds with Labour as well, but do have some expertise to bring into the room. I mean, I'm thinking, for instance, I had a debate with Malcolm Rifkind and had a long conversation with him afterwards, and it was really, really interesting to hear kind of decades of expertise on foreign policy, and how he used that to kind of inform his own personal political decisions, and how often they were at odds with the kind of the kind of thrust of the day. And David Davis today, talking about having been in Parliament for decades, he was talking about the immigration system and how we treat refugees, etc. So I think it's very important to listen to seasoned members, but I think Theresa May, when she was Prime Minister, she didn't really listen to that much expertise. So it seems like
pot kettle black situation.
It feels more like political point scoring.
Dawn, I know you don't always support their news coverage, but do you think the BBC is an important national institution that we should try to protect?
I think it has a role. I think that role needs to be looked at very closely. The BBC makes problems, causes itself problems so often, and it doesn't appear to actually engage in much kind of self-scrutiny. So I think it has a role within the UK, but I think that an actual discussion about what that role should be and whether or not it's fulfilling that is decades overdue.
And how do you feel about Darren Grimes becoming a champion for the organisation that wants to defund the BBC?
I think the funding of the BBC needs to be discussed, quite urgently. I think the fact that you can go to prison for not paying your TV licence is obscene. Given
so, Darren, you've got an ally here. You've got an ally on the left, and Dawn Foster.
Come on, Dawn.
You need to get, because Darren, it is interesting. There's a lot of you on the right, but I do wonder, you see, if you've got to get some agreement from folk on the left to make the defund the BBC campaign successful.
Well, listen, I think there's a perfect argument for those on the left to join this campaign. If we look at what the licence fee does non-payment of the licence fee actually does to single mothers, for example. They're some of the hardest hit by non-payment. Figures from the Ministry of Justice show that 72% of cases are women. And the Telegraph reported in December that around 18,000 people under the age of 20 have been prosecuted over the last 5 years. I say to the left, these liberal do-gooders advocating decriminalisation for middle-class cocaine sniffers, for example. Where's the human cost? Where's the protection of young people and the human cost of going after these young people for non-payment of the licence fee when they might not even watch the BBC themselves? I think there's a really important social justice aspect to the decriminalisation of paying the licence fee. So I'm glad Dawn's on board. Let's get more of Dawn and her mates around the table and get this done.
Darren Grimes, Director of Reasons UK, the Conservative video channel from the right, and before that, Dawn Foster, the journalist at Jacobin magazine from the left, with today's political panel.